Have you ever wandered into a bandit camp only to notice that rookies there come at you swinging plain weapons with no enchantment? Skyrim may be full of idiots, but the Dragonborn certainly isn't one of them. If you want to use weapons as your main source of damage, enchantments are an absolute must, and with a diverse range of enchantments, there are tons of possibilities for getting a one-up on your enemies. In this video, we're going to rank the top 5 enchantments to put on your weapon. Some of these vary in usefulness depending on the situation, but after a lot of thought and comparison, this is how they stack up. Let's kick things off with enchantment number 5, Absorb Stamina. Absorb Stamina is a really reliable pick for those hard-hitting melee builds. The majority of the enemies you encounter rely on melee damage, so sapping their stamina can render them pretty much useless, but the best thing about this enchantment is that it will give you a boost to stamina every time you hit your opponent. And if you didn't know this already, you only need 1 stamina in order to execute a power attack. So that means if you're accurate, which it's hard not to be with melee power attacks, you can power attack constantly, never running out of stamina. The most powerful Absorb Stamina enchantment will absorb a whopping 30 points of stamina. Next up, we have Fiery Soul Trap. This handy enchantment combines 2 powerful enchantments in one neat package. Soul Trap is very useful for maintaining the charge on your weapons, especially when used in tandem with the Black Star, which acts as an infinitely reusable soul gem. So Soul Trap is useful enough on its own, and you'll never have to worry about draining the enchantment charge of your weapons. But Fiery Soul Trap takes it one step further by applying fire damage to the weapon. Fiery Soul Trap will only take 1 enchantment slot, yet it will set your foes on fire and allows you to fill a soul gem. With an enchanting skill of 100 and all the appropriate perks, this enchantment can have a huge 15 seconds of soul trap as well as 10 points of fire damage. Targets on fire will even take extra damage. In the third place, we have Absorb Health. Much like Absorb Stamina, this enchantment will visibly drain your foes each time you hit them, and what's great about that, especially for melee fighters, is that you will never have to worry about your health bar dropping too low. Each hit you take is countered by the health you'll restore upon hitting them, and with some weapons in particular, this enchantment becomes ridiculously strong. The Daedric artifact called the Ebony Blade is one of those weapons. It's a bit of a pain to level the weapon as you'll need to commit some pretty awful acts, killing people who trust and admire you, but with every 2 kills, the weapon will absorb 4 more points of health, starting at 10 and finishing at 30. If an enemy comes at you with a plain old steel sword, the weapon will deal a base damage of 8. Compare that to the attack of your weapon, which will heal you for over 3 times that amount. The blood-sucking effect of this weapon can make you completely invincible against a lot of enemies. Taking out the silver, we have the Paralyze enchantment. The enchantment works in a very similar way to the spell, which is one of our favorites. Every time you hit a foe with a Paralyze enchanted weapon, you'll have a chance on hit to cause paralysis. Even if your enchanting skill is low, paralyzing an enemy guarantees that they will lock up and fall to the ground. And then, by the time they have a chance to get back on their feet, you should be finishing them off with the next strike. One thing that sets this enchantment apart from the rest is when fighting against really powerful enemies. The other enchantment may steal and restore health and stamina or deal more damage than normal, but Paralyze will stop your enemy from attacking for a brief period of time. So if your enemy is tough enough to take you down in a few hits, Paralysis will buy you some precious time. With max enchanting and the right perks, you can paralyze foes for 6 seconds, which is a hell of a long time to be incapacitated in the middle of a fight. And now onto the best weapon enchantment in Skyrim. As we said before, there are situations where certain enchantments are more useful, but across the board, this one simply does not compare to the others. This is, of course, Chaos Damage. Chaos Damage was added in the Dragonborn DLC and could be found on Nordic and Stalhrim weapons. The enchantment gives you a 50% chance of dealing fire damage, a 50% chance of dealing frost damage, and a 50% chance of dealing shock damage per strike, meaning that you can potentially have all 3 effects go off, or 1 or 2. It's a 50% chance for each element. This effect is not only stupidly powerful, but it's super versatile, allowing you to affect your target's health, stamina, and magicka all at once. If you apply the enchantment to your weapon while having an enchanting skill of 100, along with all the necessary elemental enchanting perks, you can theoretically with each hit do your weapon's overall damage, plus 48 points of fire damage, 48 points of frost damage, and 48 points of shock damage. The enchantment alone can deal 144 damage. On top of all this, elemental destruction perks and elemental enchanting perks like Fire Enchanter, for example, further boost this damage by taking it to crazy heights. It's actually in the process of doing this, combined with a very very powerful weapon and another strong enchantment, as well as the highest smithing skill that allows you to make the best weapon in the entire game. If you're interested to learn more about this and want to get that weapon in the hands of your character, check out our video on making this weapon. The link can be found in the description. Subscribe to Fudge 'em Up if you're new to the channel, and give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Don't forget that links to our social media accounts can be found in the description below, so give us a follow. Thanks so much for watching. I've been Scott, and I look forward to nerding out with you again in the next video.